Hello and welcome to the very first edition of the Africa Football Showdown. We're so excited to be bringing you all the excitement from the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations, which is taking place in Ivory Coast. My name is Peter Okwoche. I'm not doing this alone. I'm joined by Daniel Dadzie, our Ghanaian expert, and my sister and partner in crime, Mimi Fawaz. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. I will not respond until you address me as a man from the land of better jollof. We just also won a cookathon, so Charlie.
Oh my God.
Excuse me, we're here to talk football.
Jollof stories. Don't forget you were in Nigeria. You were in Nigeria during the Christmas holidays, Daniel.
No, I was in Nigeria for the New Year.
Yeah, you were there, so you tasted our jollof and how good it is.
I'll make a confession. The amala is top notch. The amala in Nigeria is top notch.
Listen, you guys stop talking about food. We're here to talk about football. And we're really excited to be bringing you all the action wherever you are. Nairobi, Banjul in the Gambia, Lagos, Abuja in Nigeria, Accra in Ghana. We're also in Malawi, Zambia. Welcome to the show. Now, we're dedicating this edition to the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations. I mean, check it out. 24 teams, 6 stadiums, 54 matches, but only one winner. And who's that going to be? We're going to be discussing all the groups right here on the Africa Football Showdown today. And we'll also have a special guest for you here on the program. Let me just start by asking you guys, what do you make of the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations? Why is it such a big deal? Let's start with you, Mimi.
Oh, Peter, look, you and I have been covering the Africa Cup of Nations for many years now, and it's so exciting to see how much it's grown. I mean, they've had record media accreditations, CAF, over 6,000. And Ivory Coast, you know, it's a land of great hospitality. It's a country I've been to many times, so it's going to be really exciting. And seeing everybody wanting to come and cover the tournament really means a lot for the game across the continent and beyond.
And Daniel?
Look, it was almost impossible to get a Ghana jersey when I was in Ghana over the Christmas, Peter. Everyone is talking about it. I literally had to beg someone to bring it to me at the airport or the day I was leaving, because I just couldn't get one. Yeah, so that's how much people are looking forward to it. I think AFCON is not just about the football, it's about the culture. Football is a passion of almost every African country I know. Everyone is looking forward to the big party if we win. Everyone is looking forward to the big arguments if we lose. It's going to be a sick one. I can't wait for the games to start.
Neither can I. I mean, I was in Cameroon for the last one in 2021. Mimi, you were there as well. And I remember driving to the stadium in Yaoundé and scores of people just waiting by the roadside for the action to start, trying to catch a glimpse of the players as they drove in their buses towards the stadium. Some people were glued to TV channels in watch stations just to catch all the action. Like you said, football is a passion on the African continent, and the biggest prize of all on the African continent is to win the Africa Cup of Nations. So, guys, now you know it's one thing to talk about football, but it's another thing to play the game. Let's talk to somebody who has been playing the game for a long time. He's now actually a veteran in the Nigerian national team, and talking to us all the way from the Nigerian Camp Hotel in Abidjan is the one and only Kenneth Omeruo. Thank you very much for joining us, boss.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. It's good to be here. Hello, Mimi. Hello, Daniel.
Hey, Kenneth.
Hey, Kenneth. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thank you.
So I'm going to let Mimi ask the first question because, you know, she's been going on about it for a while now. Go ahead, Mimi.
Kenneth, so you know you and I have known each other for a long time. You won the Africa Cup of Nations in 2013 with Nigeria. You've been to the World Cup. I saw when Messi gave you guys trouble in Argentina match in Russia in 2018. So you're a veteran. You're a senior man now in the team. What's it like for you seeing the new up-and-coming players and your influence on them?
It's been a great journey, and let me just add something. You talked about Messi terrorizing us. I just want to say he does it to everyone. So it's not something new, you know. He does it to he does it to everyone every defender he plays against, you know. So I give glory to God. It's been an amazing journey, and it's good to I think from the team. No, I think from the team that won the AFCON in 2013, it's just me and Ahmed Musa that is still on the team now, and it just shows how the consistency and the discipline, the hard work that has made it possible for me to be consistent up to this time. And it's really really good to see these young players. We have great talents, great potentials right now in the national team, and there are more coming as well. And I think this African Cup will be an opportunity for us to do better and try to, like our slogan says, let's do it again and win the AFCON again. But it's not going to be easy because we've played a couple of friendly matches. Even 2 days ago, we played against Guinea, Conakry, and we lost. And they have great individual players, So right now, there is no small teams in football, and we have to stay disciplined and play as a team.
Yeah, so I mean, you've mentioned already you played Guinea coming into the competition, losing 2-0 to them. Just before them, you were camping in Abu Dhabi. You beat the local team 12-0. Let's be honest, Nigeria's had a lot of mixed reactions from the fans coming into the competition. They've not really been very happy with the results the past few months. Are the team feeling any pressure at all? What's your response to that?
No, I think the team we're used to it because it's before we go to any game, once there is a post about the game, the fans are already saying they're going to lose. So that pressure is not on us. We just know we want our fans back. I remember when we played Ghana and we drew that game that we didn't qualify to the World Cup. The stadium was packed. It was packed, and I felt proud. I was happy to see that. So no matter what happens out there on social media, Nigerians love football. And once we start winning again, they will be all behind us. And that is what we have to do. We have to start giving them that win that they crave for. And we, the team, as a team, we know about it. We've talked about it, and I think this is an opportunity for us to show Nigerians and the world the talent we have here.
Kenneth, if I may just jump in here, what's preparation like? What's it like to be in camp at an Africa Cup of Nations? What exactly do you do?
It's a camp, so your movement is limited. You can't just wake up and say, oh, I want to go shopping or I want to go to the restaurant outside. I'm tired of the hotel food or something. So you have to abide by the rules. Wake up on time for breakfast, or you pay a fine if you're late. Have your breakfast, go back to your room. Time for meeting, time for training has to be observed on time. No use if the coach says no using of jewelries. You have to also abide by it. So this is the routine until we leave the camp.
I definitely won't survive that. I'm not gonna lie.
What are you eating? Because sometimes I've seen in the past, sometimes like egusi soup what's your diet? What do you like it? The food in camp?
Yeah, definitely. I eat egusi soup like 3 times a week or 2 times, depends on where I am. If I'm in camp, then it's restricted. If the camp is in Nigeria, better. We get it twice a week. But as soon as we go out to camp, like in Abu Dhabi, you cannot find it. So you stick to pasta and rice and, without a lot of spice.
Mm. I've always
Yeah.
been curious about this. You guys play in different parts of the world, but you come together, you camp, and then you're supposed to be ready to play as a unit. How much time does it take for you to sort of switch from, the Standard Liège player or the Chelsea player or the player in the club to that player playing for Nigeria and clicking with the rest of the members?
You don't have a lot of time, especially if you're coming for during the international break to play 1 or 2 games. So you have to switch as fast as possible, and that is one of the problems the coach had when he took over. He didn't really have enough time to prepare the team, like to put his pattern onto us. So whenever he has a small opportunity, he tries to use it so we can, do the set pieces, we can do the playing from the back and the consistency of the players has helped us to at least master some of these tactics, and I think we're ready. We're good to go.
You mentioned a number of young players coming up. We've been raving about Victor Osimhen in our pilot in our conversations. How much of a difference do you think a player like him would make, and who else should we look out for in the Nigeria team?
Osimhen makes a lot of difference. He has this force with him. He push. He's a fighter. He's strong. He's fast, and he has a lot of techniques. I think he's one of the best strikers I've ever seen or played with or against. And I think this is just the beginning for him. If he continues the way he's going, he's going to go really, really far. He's a top player, top potential. The likes of Boniface. Unfortunately, he was injured in training and he left camp already. But also Murphy coming in. Murphy is also one player that I believe has a lot of potentials as well. The likes of Chukwueze. We have Onyedika, midfielder, playing in Belgium. He's also a top defensive midfielder as well. So I think the team has a lot of potential. And within the next 2 years, I think these players would have made name and are playing at the top level.
Yeah, Kenneth, we've spoken about Victor Osimhen, of course. You can never rule him out. He's a proven goal scorer, highest scorer in the AFCON qualifiers with 10 goals. And of course, the sad news that Victor Boniface is out due to injury. But, as we spoke, Nigerian fans and many African football experts speak about Nigeria. They're heavy in the front when it comes to strikers, but they feel the team is not balanced. When you look at the midfield, they feel it could be better. And let's not forget as well, Francis Uzuho has come under a lot of criticism in goal. How do you respond to those fans who are concerned that when it comes to strikers, there's no problem, but you have to look at the midfield and the goalkeeping situation?
For me, I think it's obvious we have Nigeria produced a lot of strikers, even over the years. We might have one special midfielder or two max. So it's been like that. We have more strikers than midfielders and defense, and I think we have a good enough structure. For me, I think the team is balanced enough. That's my opinion, and I understand why they think that, because we have a lot of strikers. Like the likes of even Paul Onuachu didn't make the squad. Awoniyi also is out injured. So I think that's why they would think that.
Ken, I've got to ask you this question, and you should know because you've done it before. But what does it take for a team to win the Africa Cup of Nations?
That's a difficult question. Because I can remember when we won it, it was a similar situation like this. The country almost lost hope because we weren't winning enough games. We went into the tournament, first game we drew, second game we drew. And the last game against Ethiopia, if we drew that game, we were out. And around 68, 70 minutes, it was still 0-0 until we had a penalty and we scored and then scored again to qualify to the next round. And at the end of the tournament, we won it. And compared to the last AFCON, we won all group games, I think, and then we lost in the quarterfinals. So this is giving me that same feeling like when we won the national team, the cup. I think you can't just go out there and say, I want to win it. It's tough. You have to take every game as it comes. And that's what we'll try to do.
So I want to know how far you go this time round, but quickly before we do that question, looking at this AFCON and comparing it to the previous ones, do you feel like as a player who plays in Europe, do you feel it's become like a more respected tournament outside of Africa? Has it become more popular? What with players leaving, all these big teams to come and play every 2 years?
Yes, I think so. I think it's for an African player. It's everything. The Europeans, they have their Euros, they have other tournaments they play, and for us Africans, this is the one we have. You might argue with the timing, which it's not a perfect timing because we miss games for our clubs, but I think with the number of players coming to play and the fact that FIFA also has instructed clubs that they have to release the players when invited, I think it's helping to put the league where it's supposed to be. And I think it can only grow. And the funds also has been increased, and which is also a good thing for the tournament.
So my final question and the final question for the interview would be, how far will Nigeria go in this AFCON? And apart from Nigeria, who else are you seeing as a tournament favorite?
For me, I hope we go to the end. I hope we win the tournament, and that's what we're here for. We're here to fight to win the tournament. I also think Senegal is there. They would challenge again, and also, of course, Egypt and Morocco.
Those are my predictions as well, Kenneth, and as well Nigeria. I'm putting all my hopes on you guys as well. I'm not ruling you out.
Kenneth, thank you very much for joining us here on the Africa Football Showdown. Best of luck to you.
Top guy.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very
for
much.
having me here.
What an absolute start, just as we promised you here on the Africa Football Showdown. Kenneth Omeruo, Nigerian international, talking to us from the Nigerian camp out there in Ivory Coast. You don't feel that vibe. I feel that vibe. Oh. Let's go. So that was Nigerian international Kenneth Omeruo there with his views on the tournament. It's time to take our views now. So guys, let's look at the groups now. And just to warn you, you have 1 minute to look at each group. At the end of that 1 minute, you're going to hear a sound like this. And that means your time is up. And we're going to have a little chat about what you've just said. And then we move on. Is that okay?
Yeah, we'll try not to talk too much because we could ramble on forever on here debating and arguing for sure.
Tell me about it. And Mimi, you are going to take us through this group. Group A is made up of Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau.
Yeah, Peter, this is an interesting group because I think really anybody can qualify from this group. But I think if we look at it, the host, Ivory Coast, that home support, as Salomon Kalou, the former Ivory Coast international, told me, he said the home support is going to be massive. The stadiums are going to be full each time Ivory Coast plays. So I think they stand a really good chance. And as well, they've got Sebastian Aller, who's doing really well as well for them, their striker. So he could be getting those goals. Max Gradel, the experience that they have. And the Brighton youngster in the Premier League, Simone Adingra. Those are all players to look out for as well in that team. And of course, I'm going to still put Nigeria in there. I know coming coming to competition, not many people are putting them as one of the favorites. But if we look on paper, Nigeria are a very strong team. The results haven't been there coming into the competition, but they've got the best African player right now, Victor Osimhen, guaranteed goals. So if Jose Peseiro can get the ingredients together, that team can pose a real threat.
Daniel, you take us through Group B now, made up of Egypt, Ghana, Cape Verde, and Mozambique.
What can I say, Peter? This is one of the groups to look out for. Of course, there's Egypt, which has everything to play for. Egypt, of course, for anyone watching us, is the most decorated team when it comes to AFCON. 7-time winners. They won 3 competitions on a trust between 2006 2010. They got to the finals in the last showing against Senegal. That dramatic game that was pitched as Sadio Mane of Liverpool versus Mohamed Salah of Liverpool. It's going to be, they are the team to watch, in my view, in Group B. Of course, there's also Ghana, Cape Verde, and Mozambique. Cape Verde, interestingly enough, I was just looking this up, has one of the oldest players on the tournament, Ryan Mendes, and the goalkeeper, Vozinha. Mendes will be 34 next month. Vozinha is 37 years old. So there is a lot of history, there's a lot of experience that they're going to bring, but I think that there's a lot of quality in the Ghana squad and in the Egypt squad that will edge the other 2 teams out. But hey.
Yeah, so Daniel, I would have to agree in terms of Egypt. I think they're definitely, for me, one of the favorites to watch out for in this competition, especially looking at how they've built a team since the last AFCON in Cameroon. I think Mohamed Salah has been doing really well for his club, Liverpool. And I think already he's a legend in Egypt. But the whole talk in the last AFCON was, can he seal that legendary status by winning the Africa Cup of Nations? So I really think that would seal that for him. And I think he really would want to win it this time around.
Isn't it just great that you've also got a team like Mozambique at the Africa Cup of Nations? I mean, how many times do we even get to say that? And I'm looking forward to what they can do and how well they can perform at AFCON 2024. Daniel?
There's some interesting stuff here, honestly. First of all, I think that Egypt and Salah is having like a Messi moment, ahead of the Qatar World Cup, where it was like Messi has done everything there is to do in football on the club level and with his national team. He's left with the World Cup. I feel like Salah is sort of at that kind of moment. Yes, this is the AFCON, the regional tournament, and not the World Cup, but still, it's like he's done everything he can do with Liverpool. He's doing very well. They are top of the table in the Premier League. But if he can't translate that to an AFCON win, he can never measure up to people like Mido, to the legends of the past. That's won Egypt all those tournaments. So I feel like there's so much that he has to do.
Indeed. Let's move on to Group C now. I'm just going to have a look at that. Defending champions Senegal, the hosts the last time Cameroon, Guinea, and the Gambia. I mean, a lot of people will still say with Sadio Mane, who just got married recently, still in that team, that they have a strong chance of retaining that trophy. We'll have to see, because Cameroon is in that group as well. A disappointing 2021 Africa Cup of Nations for them. Can they build on that team and come back and perform as people expect them to perform? Guinea are the minnows in that group, we could say. And then don't forget that the surprise package in 2021 was the Gambia. What a beautiful run they went on. Can they do it again this year? I mean, a lot of people will start taking them seriously now. So Senegal and Cameroon definitely will take them seriously. Guinea might think that if we beat the Gambia in our game against them, hey, we might have a chance of progressing through to the next round. So a lot of people are going to say this is for Cameroon and Senegal, but, the Gambia is there as well.
Exactly what I was going to say, and of course we are being whooshed out, but exactly what I was going to say, Peter. It's very easy to pick out Senegal and Cameroon, but remember that when it comes to all these big tournaments, there's always one or two major favorites ahead of the tournaments that bottle it from the very beginning. And if it's going to be a team, it's going to be either Senegal or Cameroon. Remember when France won the World Cup in 1998 and they crashed out of the 2002 group stage? So it's very possible that it could happen with Mane's team. I mean, I know Mane is a talisman, but he's not had that run from 2021 till now that someone like Salah has had or someone like Osimhen has had. The build up to the tournament has definitely not been the same for him. This will be a place for him to prove himself, but it's really looking like a dramatic couple of games that we're seeing with Gambia revving up.
Well, I mean, I don't totally agree with you over there, Daniel. I think Senegal is still coming into this competition as very strong favorites. We just need to look at the World Cup qualifiers, the preliminary World Cup qualifiers for 2026 World Cup. Mane was still getting on the score sheet for his country, Senegal. Let's not forget he was as well named one of the best players from the last AFCON. He still has those goals in him, even though he plays in Saudi Arabia. So I think Senegal still have a very good team coming into this competition.
Okay, let's look at Group D now with Daniel, made up of Algeria, Burkina Faso, Mauritania, and Angola. Mauritania, another team that we don't really associate with the Africa Cup of Nations.
Exactly. It's unfortunate that they've been lumped in with Burkina Faso, Angola, and Algeria. Now, this is a team that I expect to be one of the most competitive groups in the AFCON, because you have Burkina Faso, you have Angola, they have all that history. You have Algeria as well. I must say that when I was doing the research into this, I was surprised to see Algeria is now looking for their third AFCON title. I was honestly thinking that they'd won a lot more. They have so much quality on the side. They have that crop of players who have been doing well. Some of the players who've been doing well in Europe as well. Some of the players who've been doing very well domestically. One thing I must say is that, Peter, if you're going into a tournament with a team that has majority domestic players, you know that they understand how they play. You know that they've already sort of been sizing up each other as they play in the same league. So that makes them very dangerous. It's hard for me to pick between Burkina Faso and Angola, but I'll put Algeria number one in this one.
Very, very, very interesting indeed. I mean, that is actually a very surprising statistic that Algeria is just going for their third Africa Cup of Nations. But then it is surprising in one way, but not surprising in another way, because remember how long it took Nigeria to get to number 3 in 2013. They haven't won it for a very, very long time. So who knows? It might be Algeria's year this year. They've been a bit up and down in the last couple of years. Burkina Faso as well, a strong team from West Africa, and sometimes they perform and then sometimes they don't. I mean, don't forget, they got to, which final again was that? 2013 final? Got really far in 2013 anyway. I was in the stadium in Johannesburg for that one. I will let you know. Yes, in the final, yes. Anyway, I think, Burkina Faso, they can be the dark horses of the tournament. After all, they are the stallions of Burkina Faso, but a very interesting group indeed.
Yeah, definitely. I'm only sad for Mauritania, honestly. They should have been in another group that they had a good chance. But let's see. Let's see. And whilst you guys were in the stadiums, I was in my house. I was watching football on the TV.
We just thought we'd drop that one there for you, Daniel. Anyway, maybe take us through Group E: Tunisia, Mali, South Africa, and Namibia. This one looks like a pretty open group to me.
So I think for me, Mali are one of the dark horses in the competition. They've had really good results when we look at the 2026 preliminary World Cup qualifiers just a couple months ago. And as well, if we look at their friendly against Guinea-Bissau coming into the AFCON competition, they thrashed them as well by 6 goals in that match. So they're looking very good. I would also say Tunisia, they're a bit unpredictable. Possibly the result maybe hasn't been as good as they would hope coming to the competition, getting a goalless draw against Mauritania coming into the competition. But South Africa as well could spring up a surprise. They're under this new resurgent rejuvenation under Hugo Broos. So let's not forget he's a coach who knows how to win an AFCON. He won it in 2017 with Cameroon. So I think it will be between those 3 teams in that group.
Indeed, Mimi, like you said, Tunisia, sometimes it just, I don't even know how to put it. They just disappoint so much in these tournaments. Mali, like you said, looking really good. South Africa is another team that can blow hot and blow cold sometimes. I don't really see them making it out of that group with Tunisia and Mali, but then again, you never know. Daniel, what do you think?
I'd have to agree with you on that, Peter. My dark horse in this tournament is Mali. Mimi has said it all. The build-up to the tournament was amazing. They're also a team that has a lot of history. Unfortunately, South Africa never really seems to come to the party. Maybe this year will be different. You know, interestingly enough, when they hosted the AFCON in 2013, they were the first hosts to draw. The first time that an opening game ended in a goalless draw, and that was against Cape Verde. If you're going to compare the two teams, the quality is so yawning. And so I think that Tunisia and Mali have what it takes to edge them out. Namibia, I'm sorry, guys. Let's try again next tournament when you have a softer group. We should talk about how they pair them up because, guy, it looks like they have already set up the quarterfinals in the round 16.
I like that. Let's look at Group F now. Morocco, DR Congo, Zambia, and Tanzania. 2 ex-winners there, Zambia and, of course, Morocco. Morocco, first African team to get to the semifinals of a World Cup. I mean, they have to be favorites to win this competition. I think their preparations, the way they plan, you know, they've got a coach, they've got a team that is really unified right now. It's not even a team where you pick out just one star. You pick out 11 or 22 players who are committed to the cause, and indeed a whole country backing them. I have to say that they are favorites to win the 2024 AFCON. I mean, DR Congo, they're in and they're out sometimes, you know, really good players, especially those coming from the French league and 1 or 2 from the Premier League. And then Zambia, I mean, they've surprised people before. You know, who says they cannot do it again? We have to keep an eye out for Zambia. And then Tanzania, I kind of suspect that Tanzania, and if there are any Tanzanians listening, I'm sorry, but they might be the whipping boys of this Group F. So yes, an interesting group, but for me, it's all about Morocco in this group. But then again, if you look at it the other way, if Morocco falter in any of the 3 matches they play in this group, then it's something that can affect them, affect their mentality as they move on, if they move on during the competition.
I agree with you. For me, Morocco as well are one of the other favorites in this competition. You touched upon mentality there. Now, I interviewed their coach, Walid Regragui, in Morocco in December at the CAF Awards, and he spoke about their mentality. They've worked on that mentality, he said. And he said he told the players, no European team, no other team in the world is better than you. They've had a lot of support from the King of Morocco. They've got that wonderful complex that you saw. And he said, that mentality, he said, is what he told them. Don't be scared of any opponents. You're just as good, if not better, is what got them to get as far as they did at the World Cup. And I think that winning mentality, that's going to get them very far in the competition.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. And like I mentioned, preparations is key. And that's the training center in Rabat is absolutely fantastic. I was there sometime last year. And, it's just world standard. I mean, teams from Europe actually go there to train, It's absolutely brilliant. So I think preparation is key, and the Moroccans have mastered it. Daniel.
Honestly, I hate to sound like a broken record, but if there's a team that is not going to disappoint,
you sound like one anyway. Go ahead.
I do not think they're going to win the whole thing. That's just my opinion. I think that in the end, it's going to come down to the grit of Salah pulling some magic, pulling something out of the hat in the last minute, or pushing it to penalties, and then, something given. So I think you'll go to Egypt, but Morocco is definitely that team to beat. I can't pick one out of the rest, out of DR Congo and Zambia, because Zambia has proven themselves to be a team that you can't count out. Shout out to the Ngidaba Jonah Buyoya, the Komla Duma Award winner, who we hung out with in London just last year. DR Congo is also, it's also a great team. I can't pick one out, but Morocco definitely, we are seeing them in the semi-final or the final if Senegal doesn't pull a surprise.
Well, I mean, I was just going to say that you've pitched your tent with Egypt, but now you've picked Morocco and Senegal again. So that's a look at all the groups. Let's look at who we think is going to win the competition now, and we'll start with you, Mimi.
Well, I think I've already mentioned them. Definitely Egypt. I'll never rule Egypt out. They got so close the last time. The defending champion Senegal, they're also looking very good. Morocco, you can never rule them out after that historic run in Qatar at the World Cup. The host Ivory Coast could go very far as well, that team support. And I know, Peter, I know. I'm not going to rule out Nigeria. I don't want wahala. Oh. My Nigerian people, I don't want wahala. So I don't want trouble. So I still have to put my Super Eagles in there in the hope. I'm hoping, even though the results really haven't been that great coming into the competition.
Yeah. Daniel, no one's mentioned Ghana as a potential winner.
Boss. This time, I know we'll beat Nigeria, but apart from that, Charlie, I'll tell you the truth. And I wanted to make a point about Nigeria. Nigeria has the best player in Africa at the moment, Victor Osimhen. The problem is, I don't know if it will be enough for just Victor. And look at all the quality that Mane and Salah had been showing on the pitch for so long, and look at how long it took for them to finally get to the very top when it comes to AFCON. I think that there's quality that will edge Osimhen and his boys out this time round. I'm not going to put them in the final. I'll put them in the semis. I'll put Ghana in the quarterfinals. I'm not going to put them in the final because, again, Ghana's talent is too new. Our boy, Mohamed Kudus in West Ham has been doing an amazing job. But if you look at Ghana and what they've been doing in the friendlies getting to the tournament, I can't put my money behind them. I don't earn enough to go and bet it on Ghana, honestly. It's not going to work. So I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to put it on Mohamed Salah and Egypt, finishing that amazing run that Salah has had for the past few years, for the past few AFCONs. I can't decide between Morocco and Senegal to join them in the final. I'm only going to say that I think that Morocco as a team has shown themselves to be more consistent. We have more grit after that last AFCON. And so I'll put them ahead of Senegal. But honestly, I really don't see anyone else showing that sort of quality. Maybe Nigeria, but I see them crashing out at the semis and maybe coming out with the bronze. And so that would be my top four. Egypt, Morocco, Nigeria. No, Egypt, Morocco, Senegal, Nigeria. I mean, I did one better and I gave you four.
So those are the winners. But let's look at who we think might be the surprise package in this competition. We've got Namibia, we've got the Gambia, we've got Mauritania, Mozambique, Tanzania. Mimi, who do you think could emerge as a surprise package in this competition?
Yeah, so like I mentioned early on, I really feel that Mali, for me, are a surprise package in this competition. I think their build-up coming into the tournament has been very good. As I said, looking through to the 2026 preliminary World Cup qualifiers in November, their performance, and as well their friendly coming into the competition against Guinea-Bissau. So they're definitely, for me, one of the dark horses in this competition. I have to say as well, Guinea, another team to look out for. Let's not forget as well, they defeated the mighty, as people like to call them, the Giants, one of the giant teams in Africa and Nigeria. They defeated them 2-0, let's not forget, just a few days into coming into AFCON.
And Daniel?
I was going to say Mali as well. I think Mali has done well, but we've talked so much about Mali already. I'm going to leave off that. I'll put my money really on Mozambique. I'll tell you why. I don't think that they will qualify out of the group stage, but I think that Ghana will struggle to qualify out of the group stage, and so Mozambique would come into the last game with a lot of energy if they're able to beat Cape Verde. So that is where, if you're looking for some excitement in the group stage, yes. Unfortunately, the way the groups are stacked up, I really don't see any wild difference coming out in how the round of 16 shapes up. And that's the nature of this year's AFCON, Peter.
Well, I mean, I want to look at Guinea-Bissau. They've got a lot of players coming to play for the team from the diaspora, so you never can tell how those teams might be able to gel. Yes, it's not your traditional footballing giant on the African continent, but you never know how that team can gel. You know, they have players coming from Portugal, from Spain, from France, one or two from leagues in England. So you never can tell. I am actually looking at them and hoping that they will give us a good surprise because, you know, sometimes we want to see a real good surprise run in the Africa Cup of Nations. I'm not saying they're going to win, but, you know, they might surprise a few people.
You never know, just maybe. I mean...
You guys don't sound very excited by Guinea-Bissau, by my choice of Guinea-Bissau. Okay, we'll prove you guys wrong, don't worry.
No, I've given you my choice. I said to you, Mali and Guinea. Those are my two.
I just feel like so much quality has been coming out of the continent of late. You've had, I mean, if you look at the top like 5 or 6 performing teams in AFCON now, you can name like 1 or 2 players who are doing so well, whether it's on the continent or in Europe. So it's looking very difficult for anyone else to really come and step in. Because you go to Ghana, you have big players. You go to Nigeria, you have big players. You go to Morocco, you even go to Algeria, you go to Senegal. The big boys are really well placed. And it's not like any of them have been dropping form in any wild way going into the tournaments. That's the thing that makes it difficult for the smaller teams this time around.
Totally agree with you. You know, it's going to be a tournament for the big boys, so to speak. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That's it on this very first edition of the African Football Showdown. It's been amazing. We've loved every single minute of you. Thank you to my colleagues Mimi Fawaz and Daniel Dadzie. We'll see you. And also a big thank you to all our partner stations across the African continent. And don't forget, you can catch us on our YouTube channel, download our podcast, and follow all the latest news on our WhatsApp channel. Just type in the African Football Showdown. Now, we're going to be signed out by the band Fra from Ghana. Let's go.
Go down low, yes, sir. You don't feel that vibe.
Thanks very much for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed watching it just as much as we enjoyed making it. Now, if you want to keep up with everything that the Africa Football Showdown will be bringing you, hit that subscribe button and keep up with us on all our social media channels. The link should be down there somewhere. Yeah, you got it.
Listen, see, you don't feel that vibe. I don't feel that vibe. This one, I want to do it this way.